You're not on the guest list. This dinner is just for family, my mom said, standing at the door. My brother smirked. It's what you deserve. I just nodded, got back in my car, and drove away. That night, I shut down every payment connected to their accounts. By sunrise, their mortgage bounced, the lights went out, and the group chat turned into chaos. Hey everyone, before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now, let's start the video. My name is Aaron. I'm 37 years old. And if there's one thing I've learned about family, it's this: reliability gets mistaken for invisibility. For the better part of 2 decades, I was the one they called when the car broke down at midnight, the one they texted when rent came up short, the one who wired money without asking questions, who co-signed loans without reading the fine print, who showed up to help move furniture on a Sunday morning while nursing a migraine. I was dependable. That was my role, my identity. My brother Kenneth, 3 years younger, was different, somehow always 3 steps ahead in my parents' eyes. When he graduated high school, they threw a backyard party with catering and a rented sound system. When I graduated, we had pizza in the living room. When he got accepted to state college, Dad cried at the dinner table. When I got my associate's degree while working full-time, Mom said it was nice and changed the subject. Kenneth was the golden child, the one whose name came up first in every conversation, whose accomplishments were framed and hung in the hallway, whose failures were explained away as bad luck or poor timing. I learned early not to expect much. Birthdays came and went with a text message or a phone call that felt obligatory. My 30th birthday, I spent alone in my apartment eating takeout. Kenneth's 30th had a surprise party with 50 guests. But I never complained. I told myself that's what family did: you showed up, you helped, you stayed quiet when it hurt. By the time I was 35, I was managing more than just my own bills. I had my parents' mortgage on autopay from my account because Dad's credit was terrible after a bankruptcy 8 years ago. I covered their car insurance every 6 months because it was easier than listening to Mom panic. I paid for Kenneth's phone plan, his streaming services, even his gym membership because he'd asked once, and I'd never said no. I kept spreadsheets. I tracked every payment in a folder on my laptop labeled Family. It was organized by month, by category, by recipient. My financial advisor once looked at it during a planning session and asked if I was running a charity. I laughed. I told him it was complicated. But the truth was simpler than that. I wanted to be needed. I wanted to matter. And for a long time, I convinced myself that paying for things was the same as being valued. It wasn't. Last month, Kenneth got engaged to a woman named Carol. The announcement came through the family group chat with a photo of them in front of a fountain, her hand extended to show off a ring that probably cost more than I made in 3 months. My parents replied with strings of emojis and exclamation points. I sent a simple, "Congratulations." No one replied to me. The wedding planning started immediately: venue tours, cake tastings, long phone calls that I wasn't part of. Mom posted photos on social media of her and Carol shopping for dresses. Dad bragged to his coworkers about the open bar. I wasn't invited to any of it, but I didn't say anything. I told myself they were just busy, that I'd hear about it eventually, that there would be a moment when someone remembered to include me. That moment never came. 2 weeks ago, I got a text from Mom, short and direct: "Family dinner next Saturday at 6 o'clock. Important." I replied, "I'll be there." She didn't respond. I spent the week wondering what the dinner was about. Maybe they wanted to talk wedding logistics. Maybe they'd finally acknowledge how much I'd been doing behind the scenes. Maybe, for once, I'd feel like I was actually part of the family. I should have known better. I thought about the years before this, about the time when I was 16 and saved up for months to buy a used guitar. I came home one day to find it gone. Mom had sold it at a yard sale to help pay for Kenneth's basketball camp. She didn't ask. She didn't tell me until I noticed it missing. "He needed it more," she'd said, as if that explained everything. Or the time I got accepted into a technical certification program that could have changed my career trajectory. It required a deposit, $2,000. I had it saved. But then Dad's truck broke down, and Kenneth needed books for his freshman year, and suddenly my savings were gone. I never enrolled. The opportunity passed. No one ever paid me back. I told myself it was fine. That's what older siblings did. That's what good sons did. But somewhere deep down, in a place I didn't like to visit, I knew the truth: I wasn't contributing because I wanted to. I was contributing because I was afraid of what would happen if I stopped, afraid they'd finally say out loud what I'd always suspected, that I didn't matter. Saturday came. I drove across town in traffic that made me 10 minutes late. I'd picked up a bottle of wine on the way, something mid-range but nice enough to show I'd thought about it. I parked on the street because the driveway was full, 3 cars, all familiar. I walked up the front steps with the wine tucked under my arm. I could hear voices inside, laughter, the clinking of glasses. The porch light was on. I reached for the doorbell, but the door swung open before I touched it. Mom stood there. She was dressed up, hair styled, wearing the blouse I bought her for Christmas 2 years ago. Her face didn't light up when she saw me. It tightened. "Aaron," she said. "Hey, Mom. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was bad." She didn't step aside. Her hand stayed on the doorframe. "What are you doing here?" I blinked. "You texted me. Family dinner, 6 o'clock. She looked over her shoulder, then back at me. Her voice dropped. "Aaron, you're not on the guest list. This dinner is just for family." The words hung in the air like smoke. I didn't process them right away. I thought maybe I'd misheard. Maybe she was joking. But her face stayed flat, cold. "I'm sorry. This is a private dinner. Immediate family only." Behind her, I saw Kenneth appear in the hallway. He had a drink in his hand. When he saw me, he smirked. "It's what you deserve, Aaron," he said, loud enough for everyone inside to hear. I heard someone laugh. I couldn't tell who. Mom didn't correct him. She didn't defend me. She just stood there, blocking the door, like I was a stranger trying to get in uninvited. I opened my mouth to argue, to ask what I'd done, to demand an explanation. But the look on her face stopped me. She wasn't angry. She wasn't upset. She was just done with me. I closed my mouth. I nodded. I handed her the wine. "Okay." She took it without a word. I turned around, walked down the steps, and got back in my car. My hands were shaking. My chest felt tight. I sat there for a moment, staring at the dashboard. I could still hear the voices inside the house, louder now. Someone had turned up the music. I started the engine. I didn't look back. The drive home was a blur. I don't remember stopping at red lights or changing lanes. I just remember the silence, the kind of silence that presses down on your chest until it's hard to breathe. My mind replayed the moment over and over, the way Mom's expression had shifted from neutral to dismissive in half a second, the way Kenneth had said those words with such casual cruelty, like he'd been waiting years to say them, the way the door had stayed closed behind me as I walked away. I thought about all the dinners I'd attended over the years, all the times I'd shown up early to help set the table, stayed late to help clean up, listened to Kenneth's stories, laughed at Dad's jokes, complimented Mom's cooking. And I realized something that made my stomach turn. I'd been performing, auditioning for a role I'd never actually get, the role of someone who mattered. When I got home, I sat in my car for another 10 minutes. I couldn't bring myself to go inside. I kept replaying the moment, the way Mom said, "just for family," the way Kenneth smirked, the way no one came to the door after I left. I thought about all the years I'd spent trying to be good enough, trying to be useful, trying to matter. And I realized something, I didn't. Not to them. The worst part wasn't the rejection. It was the realization that this had been coming for years, that every ignored birthday, every forgotten text, every dismissive comment had been building to this moment. And I'd been too busy trying to prove my worth to see it. I finally got out of the car. I walked into my apartment. I locked the door behind me, and I made a decision. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open. The folder labeled "Family" stared back at me. I clicked through the files one by one: mortgage payments, insurance premiums, phone bills, streaming subscriptions, gym memberships, even the car registration renewal for Kenneth's SUV. Every single one tied back to my accounts, my cards, my bank, my name. I'd been doing this for so long that I'd stopped questioning it. It had become routine, automatic, just another set of bills to pay alongside my own. But sitting there in the dark, staring at the spreadsheet, I felt something shift inside me. It wasn't anger. Not yet. It was colder than that. It was clarity. They didn't see me as family. They saw me as a service, a utility, something to use and forget. And I'd let them. I leaned back in my chair. My throat felt tight. My eyes stung. I didn't cry. I was too tired to cry. Instead, I opened a notebook. I started writing. I listed every payment, every account, every service. I cross-referenced due dates, billing cycles, grace periods. I noted which ones would hit first, which ones would cause the most immediate disruption, which ones would cascade into bigger problems. The mortgage was due on the 15th of every month. It was currently the 8th. If I canceled the autopay now, it would bounce in 7 days. The grace period was 15 days after that, but the late fees would start immediately, and the bank would call within 48 hours of the missed payment. The car insurance renewed every 6 months. The next renewal was in 11 days. If I canceled now, their coverage would lapse. They'd be driving illegally, and if they got pulled over, the consequences would be immediate. The utilities were simpler: electric, water, internet, all billed monthly, all set to autopay from my account. If I stopped them, the services would continue for the current billing cycle, but the disconnect notices would start arriving within 2 weeks. I worked through the night. By sunrise, I had a plan. It wasn't revenge. Not yet. It was just a decision, a simple one. I was done. I thought about what that really meant. No more emergency calls at 2 a.m., no more guilt trips about being selfish, no more pretending that my bank account was the same thing as love. It meant walking away from the only family I'd ever known. But as I sat there watching the sun come up through my window, I realized something. They'd walked away from me first, years ago. I'd just been too afraid to notice. I made coffee. I took a shower. I got dressed. And then I started making calls. Monday morning, I called my bank. I need to cancel several recurring payments, I said. The representative was polite, professional. She pulled up my account and asked which ones. I read from my list: mortgage autopay, car insurance, phone plan, internet service, streaming platforms, gym membership, even the pet insurance for the dog Mom had adopted last year. She paused. That's a lot of cancellations. Are you sure? I'm sure. Can I ask the reason, just for our records? Personal decision. It took 20 minutes. She confirmed each one, sent confirmation emails. I saved every single one in a new folder labeled Closed. Next, I logged into the credit card accounts. I removed authorized users. Kenneth's name disappeared from 2 cards, Mom's from another. I changed the billing addresses back to my apartment. I updated security questions. I enabled 2-factor authentication. Then I froze my credit. I set up alerts. I locked down every account I had. The phone company was next. I called and removed Kenneth from my family plan. The representative asked if I wanted to transfer his number to his own account. No, just disconnect it. Sir, that number will be permanently deactivated. I understand. She processed it. His line went dead within the hour. I contacted the insurance company. I removed Mom and Dad as beneficiaries. I updated my policy to remove their vehicles. The agent tried to upsell me on additional coverage. No, thank you. Just process the removal. By noon, I was done. I sat back and stared at the screen. My phone buzzed, a text from the bank confirming the changes, another from the insurance company acknowledging the cancellation, a third from the phone company confirming the line disconnection. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel angry. I just felt lighter. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying anyone else's weight. I made coffee. I ate lunch. I went for a walk. The sun was out. The air was cool. I felt like I could breathe again. I walked past a park where families were playing, kids on swings, parents pushing strollers. I watched them for a moment, and I felt something unexpected: relief. Not because I was free from responsibility, but because I was free from pretending, free from the weight of trying to earn something that was never going to be given. That night, I deleted the family group chat. I didn't leave a message. I just removed myself and turned off notifications. I knew what was coming: the calls would start, the angry texts, the guilt trips. But I also knew something else: I didn't owe them an explanation. I'd spent years explaining myself, justifying my feelings, apologizing for wanting to be treated like I mattered. I was done explaining. I opened my laptop one more time. I looked at the closed folder: 37 files, 37 accounts, 37 threads connecting me to a family that had just told me I wasn't part of it. I closed the laptop, and for the first time in years, I slept through the night. Tuesday afternoon, my phone started ringing. I was at a coffee shop, working on my laptop. The first call came from Mom. I let it go to voicemail. She called again 5 minutes later. Then Kenneth. Then Dad. I didn't answer. The text started next: Aaron, call me now. What did you do? The mortgage didn't go through. Call me back. I sipped my coffee. I kept working. Another call. Another voicemail. I played it on low volume. Mom's voice was shrill, panicked. Aaron, I don't know what's going on, but the bank called. They said the mortgage payment bounced. I don't understand. You need to fix this. Call me. I deleted the voicemail. An hour later, Kenneth called. I answered. What the hell, Aaron, he said. Hey, Kenneth. Don't, hey, me. What did you do? Mom's freaking out. The mortgage bounced. The insurance got canceled. The internet's not working. What's going on? I took a breath, calm, steady. I stopped paying for your stuff. Silence. What? I canceled the payments. All of them. I'm not covering your bills anymore. You can't do that. I already did. Aaron, you're being ridiculous. This is because of Saturday, isn't it? You're seriously going to screw over the whole family because you got your feelings hurt? I felt something flicker in my chest, not anger, not yet, just cold, quiet resolve. I'm not screwing anyone over. I'm just not paying for you anymore. You're an adult. Figure it out. You're insane. Maybe, but I'm not your bank anymore. I hung up. My hands were steady. My heart was calm. The phone rang again immediately. Kenneth. I declined the call. He called back. I declined again. Then a text, "You're going to regret this." I didn't respond. 20 minutes later, Dad called. I answered. Aaron, what's this about? His voice was different, not angry, almost confused, like he genuinely didn't understand. I'm not paying your bills anymore, Dad. But why? What happened? You told me I wasn't family, so I'm acting like it. Son, that's not what we meant. Then what did you mean? He paused. I could hear him breathing. It was just a dinner, a small thing. Kenneth wanted it to be intimate. So intimate I couldn't come. It wasn't personal. It was the most personal thing you've ever done. Another pause, longer this time. Aaron, we can talk about this, but you can't just cut us off like this. We need that money, the mortgage, the insurance, your mother's medication. Mom's medication. The copays. I'd been covering them for 2 years. I hadn't even realized, I'd set it up so long ago that it had become invisible, just another automatic payment in a long list. Then you'll need to figure it out. Aaron, please. I'm done, Dad. I hung up. This time, my hands were shaking, not from fear, from something else, something that felt like power. I'd spent my entire life being the solution to their problems, the safety net, the backup plan. And now I was gone. The panic in their voices wasn't about me. It was about what I represented, the money, the security, the convenience. They didn't miss me. They missed my bank account. And that realization didn't hurt anymore. It just made me more certain I'd made the right choice. Wednesday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls. I didn't listen to the voicemails. I didn't read the texts. I just turned my phone on silent and went about my day. I had an appointment at the bank at 10 o'clock. I needed to make sure there were no lingering connections, no joint accounts I'd forgotten about, no ways for them to access my money. The banker was thorough. She pulled up every account, every card, every link. We found 3 things I'd missed: a savings account from when I was 22 that had both my name and Dad's, an old credit card with Mom as an authorized user that I thought had been closed, and a line of credit tied to the house that listed me as a co-signer. The line of credit is the problem, she said. If they default, you're liable. Can I remove myself? Only if they refinance or pay it off. And if they don't, you're stuck with it. I thought about that for a moment. The line of credit was for $30,000. They'd used most of it over the years for home repairs, vacations, Kenneth's tuition. I'd signed it 5 years ago because Dad said it would help their credit score. What happens if I report that I never authorized the draws? She looked at me. That's a fraud claim. Are you saying you didn't authorize them? I'm saying I signed as a co-signer. I didn't authorize them to drain the account without paying it back. She made a note. I'll flag it for review, but that could take weeks. That's fine. She processed the other closures. By the time I left, every connection was severed, except for the line of credit. That one would take time, but I had time. Next, I went to see a lawyer, not the family lawyer, a different one, someone who didn't know my parents, didn't owe them any favors. Her name was Megan. She was in her 40s, sharp, no nonsense. I explained the situation. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair. Do you want to go after them legally, or do you just want to protect yourself? Protect myself. Smart. Here's what we'll do. We'll draft a formal notice that you're revoking any implied permission for them to use your financial identity. We'll send it certified mail. That way, if they try to claim you agreed to something, we have proof you didn't. What about the co-signed loan? That's trickier. You can't just remove yourself. But we can demand an accounting, force them to show where the money went. If they can't prove it was used for legitimate purposes, we might have grounds to challenge it. How long will that take? Months, maybe longer. But it'll protect you if they try to default and stick you with the bill. I nodded. Do it. She drafted the letters. I signed them. She sent them out that afternoon. By the time I got home, I felt like I'd been running a marathon. My body was exhausted, but my mind was clear. I'd spent years being reactive, responding to their needs, fixing their problems, cleaning up their messes. Now I was being proactive, protecting myself, building walls, and it felt good. That night, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "This is Carol, Kenneth's fiancée. I don't know what's going on between you and your family, but you need to stop. You're ruining everything." I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I blocked the number. Thursday night, I pulled out everything. I printed bank statements going back 5 years. I highlighted every payment I'd made on their behalf: mortgage, insurance, utilities, subscriptions, car payments, even the grocery delivery service Mom had signed up for last year because she didn't want to drive to the store. The stack of paper grew: 10 pages, 20, 30, 40. I pulled up emails, texts, screenshots of conversations where they'd asked for money, and I'd sent it without hesitation. "Just this once," they'd said, but it was never just once. "We'll pay you back," they'd promised, but they never did. "You're so good to us," they told me, but they'd never meant it. I saved everything in a folder labeled Evidence. I backed it up on a thumb drive. I uploaded it to a cloud server. I made copies. I wasn't planning to use it. Not yet. But I wanted to be ready because I knew them. I knew how this would play out. They'd deny, they'd gaslight, they'd twist the narrative until I was the bad guy, the ungrateful son, the vindictive brother. But I had proof. Years of it. I calculated the total. It took an hour, cross-referencing statements, adding up payments, accounting for interest on the loans I'd co-signed. The number made me sick: $147,000. Over 10 years, I'd given them $147,000. And I'd never asked for a dime back. I leaned back in my chair. The apartment was quiet. The glow of the laptop screen was the only light in the room. I thought about what that money could have bought: a down payment on a house, a new car, a career change, a life. Instead, it had bought me nothing, not even their respect. I pulled up a blank document. I started typing. It wasn't a letter. It wasn't a message. It was just a list, a simple accounting. Every payment, every date, every amount. At the bottom, I wrote one line: total paid on behalf of family, $147,000. Total repaid, $0. Balance due: I don't want your money. I want you to know what you took. I saved it. I printed it. And I put it in an envelope. I wasn't going to send it. Not yet. But I wanted it ready, just in case. Because I knew this wasn't over. I knew they'd push. They'd demand. They'd try to guilt me into coming back. And when they did, I'd have proof that I'd given everything and proof that it had never been enough. Friday morning, the dam broke. Mom called at 7 a.m. I was awake. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Her voice was different this time, not angry, not demanding, broken. "Aaron, please. The power got shut off. The bank is calling about the mortgage. They're saying we're 30 days past due. I don't understand. Please call me back. We need you." I deleted it. At 9 a.m., I got a call from an unknown number. I answered. "Is this Aaron Robinson?" "Yes. This is Heather from First National Bank. I'm calling regarding the mortgage on 428 Maple Street. We show you as an authorized payer on the account, but the last 2 payments have been returned. Can you confirm your relationship to the account holder? I'm no longer associated with that account. I removed my payment authorization on Monday." "I see. Are you aware that the property is now in pre-foreclosure status?" "No, but that's not my problem." She paused. "Sir, if the payment isn't brought current within 10 days, the lender will proceed with foreclosure proceedings. You'll need to speak with the account holder." I hung up. At 10 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text. It was from Kenneth. "You're killing them. You know that, right? Mom's crying. Dad won't even talk. This is insane. How can you be so cruel?" I typed back, "You told me I deserved it. Remember? This is what I deserve." He didn't reply. By noon, the floodgates opened: texts from relatives I hadn't heard from in years, cousins, aunts, even a neighbor who'd somehow gotten my number. "What's going on? Your mom called me in tears. Is it true you cut them off? Family doesn't do this to family." I didn't respond to any of them, but one message caught my attention. It was from my Aunt Rebecca, my mom's sister. She'd always been kind to me, one of the few relatives who'd remembered my birthday. "Aaron, I don't know what happened, but I'm worried about you. Are you okay?" I replied, "I'm fine. Thank you for asking." She wrote back immediately, "Your mom is saying you abandoned them, that you cut off all their money without warning. Is that true?" I stopped paying their bills. "That's not abandonment. That's boundaries." She's saying they might lose the house. They might, but that's their responsibility, not mine. "Aaron, they're your parents. And I'm their son," but that didn't seem to matter on Saturday. She didn't respond after that. At 2 p.m., I walked into my lawyer's office. I'd scheduled the appointment 3 days ago. Megan looked up when I walked in. Good timing. The bank responded to our inquiry about the line of credit, and they're saying you authorized all the draws. They have your signature on file. I signed as a co-signer. I didn't authorize the draws. I know, but they're claiming that co-signing gave implicit authorization. We can fight it, but it'll take time. How much time? 6 months, maybe more. I nodded. Do it. She pulled out another folder. I also drafted a cease and desist letter. If they keep harassing you, contacting your employer, or spreading false information, we can file for a restraining order. Have they contacted my employer? Not yet, but your mom called my office 4 times yesterday asking for your new address. Don't give it to her. I won't, but I wanted you to know, they're escalating. I left her office an hour later with a stack of documents, legal protections, formal notices, boundaries written in legal language. That night, I sat on my balcony. The city lights stretched out in front of me. My phone was on silent. I didn't check it. I thought about the last 10 years, about all the times I'd put them first, about all the times I'd swallowed my pride, my hurt, my anger. I thought about Saturday, about standing on that porch, about the way Kenneth had smirked, about the way Mom had said, just for family, like I was a stranger. And I realized something, I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't sad. I was free. The next morning, I woke up to a single text. It was from Dad, "We're losing the house. I hope you're happy." I read it twice. Then I deleted it. I made coffee. I sat on my balcony. The sun was just coming up. And for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. 3 months later, I moved, not far, just far enough that they couldn't show up unannounced. A smaller place, quieter, with a balcony that faced east so I could watch the sunrise. I changed my number. I kept my email but filtered anything from them straight to trash. I didn't block them. I just stopped looking. I heard through the grapevine that they lost the house, that they'd moved into a rental across town, that Kenneth and Carol had postponed the wedding indefinitely because they couldn't afford it without my financial backing. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt neutral. The stories trickled in through mutual acquaintances. Dad had tried to refinance but couldn't qualify. Mom had applied for assistance but made too much on paper because of the income I'd been supplementing for years. Kenneth had apparently had a breakdown at Thanksgiving, blaming me for ruining his life. None of it touched me. It was like hearing about strangers. One morning, I got a letter. No return address. Handwritten. It was from Mom. I almost threw it away, but curiosity won. I opened it, standing by my kitchen counter. The handwriting was shaky, rushed. It was short, 4 sentences, "I'm sorry. I didn't realize what I was doing. I didn't realize how much you gave. I hope you're okay." I read it twice. Then I folded it and put it in a drawer. I didn't reply, not because I was still angry, but because I didn't know her closure. She'd have to find that on her own. A week later, I got a message from Aunt Rebecca. "I heard about the letter. Are you going to respond?" I thought about it for a moment, then I wrote back, "No. Some things don't need a response. Some things just need to end." She replied with a heart emoji, nothing else. I appreciated that. 6 months after that night on the porch, I barely recognized my life. I'd started saying yes to things I'd always put off, a photography class on Wednesday nights, weekend hikes with a group I'd found online, coffee with coworkers who'd invited me out dozens of times before I finally accepted. I wasn't filling a void. I was just living, actually living, not performing, not proving, not paying my way into belonging, just existing as myself. One Saturday morning, I was at a coffee shop, editing photos on my laptop, when someone sat down across from me. "Aaron," she said. I looked up. It was Jacqueline, a woman from my hiking group. We'd talked a few times on trails but never outside of that. "Hey, Jacqueline. I thought that was you. Mind if I sit?" "Go ahead." We talked for an hour, about photography, about trails, about nothing important. And for the first time in years, I had a conversation where I didn't feel like I had to earn my place in it. When she left, she smiled. "We should do this again. I'd like that." And I meant it. That evening, I went to the park near my apartment. I sat on a bench and watched the sunset. The sky turned orange, then pink, then deep purple. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me check. "This is Kenneth. I know you probably won't respond. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. You didn't deserve what we did. I hope you're doing okay." I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to believe it, wanted to think that maybe, finally, he understood. But another part of me, the part that had been rebuilt over the last 6 months, knew better. Sorry wasn't enough. Sorry didn't undo years of being invisible. Sorry didn't refund $147,000. Sorry didn't erase standing on that porch while my own mother told me I wasn't family. I didn't respond. I put my phone away and watched the rest of the sunset. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. Some chapters are meant to close. Some people are meant to stay in your past. And that was okay. 1 year after that dinner invitation I never attended, I woke up in my apartment and made coffee. The sun was rising. The city was quiet. I thought about where I'd been a year ago, sitting in my car outside their house, hands shaking, chest tight, wondering what I'd done wrong. Now I knew the answer: nothing. I hadn't done anything wrong. I'd just been trying to buy love from people who only valued the currency. My phone sat on the counter, silent, no missed calls, no angry texts, no guilt trips. I'd heard through Aunt Rebecca that they'd stabilized, found a smaller place, adjusted to a budget that didn't include my income. Kenneth had eloped quietly. Mom had gotten a part-time job. They were surviving without me, and I was thriving without them. I didn't hate them. I didn't wish them harm. I just didn't think about them much anymore. That was the real freedom, not the anger, not the revenge, but the indifference, the ability to wake up and not carry their weight, to make decisions without considering their needs first, to exist without performing. I finished my coffee. I grabbed my camera. I had a hike planned with Jacqueline and a few others from the group. As I locked my apartment door, I thought about that moment on the porch one last time. Mom had said I wasn't on the guest list, that the dinner was just for family. She'd been right about one thing: it was just for family. And I'd finally found mine, not in blood, not in obligation, but in the people who saw me, who valued me, who didn't need me to pay for my place at the table. I walked to my car. The morning air was cool. The sun was bright. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I was exactly where I belonged.